Welcome to Code Essentials KE, and we are still on the JavaScript for Beginners series. And in this tutorial, we are going to look at functions, right? And we're going to start with the normal functions. Then we go to arrow functions. Then we are going to see the local function variables versus global function variables. We're also going to look at the self-invoked functions part 1 and also part 2. So I'll just start with a normal function declaration. Let me just call it normal function declaration. So when we are declaring function in JavaScript, we start with function, then we can call it maybe my function, and then we are going to give it parameters. So I want the function to be able to add two numbers, so I'm going to say num1 and also num2, right? And then you use the curly braces, and then we are going to say let answer is equals to, then we want to convert, to make sure that we convert the num1 to integers. So we're going to have num1, and then we're also going to add this to the integer of num2, right? And then we are going to return. So a return statement is what the function, like what you want the function to accomplish, that like what is the final thing to do with the function. Then you're going to return the answer. Then now here we are going to call the function. To call the function is like to activate it with the parameters so that we can be able to get the answer. So I'm going to say call the function, then I'm going to say my function, I'm going to give it 10 and then 5, right? So it should now, I'm going to console, sorry, let me console. To console is like to print to the terminal, right? So now I've given the function the 10 and 5. 10 is num1, 5 is num2. Then the answer will be addition of the two numbers, then it returns the answer. So if I click on run, we should see 15 on the console, right? So I'm using an editor called Replit, which is a good one to run if you want to run JavaScript or Python from the cloud, maybe from the browser. So that was the first part for the function declaration. This is a normal function. Then we go to the arrow functions. The arrow functions are just the normal function, but they are declared using an arrow. So we can say let calculate edge, or let me call it print edge. Edge is equals to, then we have the brackets, then the arrow, then the curly braces, we close it. And now for the parameters, you give it here, you say name and also age, right? Then I'm going to say let final user age is equals to name. Then I'm going to add the backticks. Then I'm going to say name is age years old, right? Then close it. And then I'm going to say console, no, I want to return, so I'm going to return the final user age, right? and then at the bottom we call the function called the arrow function, right? And then you are going to say console.log, and we are going to log print age. Remember, you have to call the function, and then you are going to give it a name of Susan and the age of maybe 25. So now we should expect something like Susan is 25 years old. So we run it, and on the console we can see Susan is 25 years old. Maybe I can put a spacing there so that Susan is separate. We run it, and then we have Susan is 25 years old. So this is just an arrow function. This is the arrow that makes it an arrow function. The next one, now we are going to local function variables versus global function variables. So a local function variable is the one that is declared within the function, but the global is the one that is declared outside. So when you declare a local function variable, it makes it hard for it to be referenced in another function. It can only be referenced within the function, and we can actually see that. So I'm going to start with a normal function, and I'm going to say function maybe f1. I'm going to give it a num, and I'm going to say let protected let local var is equals to 5, right? And then we can also say also let our answer is equals to our num, which we are going to multiply with our local variable. Then we can return the answer. Then now if we call function, we're going to say console.log f1, you're going to give it something like 5. We should expect something like 25, right? So let me run it. So we can see we have 25, right? But now we have declared the local variable, which is 5. So let's create a function 2. So create second function. Then I'm going to say function f2, which also takes a num. Now we are going to say let answer, or just ans. We're going to say let ans is equals to then a num multiplied by local variable, right? Remember, this is a local variable. It should bring an error. So we are going to say return then ans, right? And also let's print it. Let's also console.log. Then you are going to say f2 function 2, and you are going to give it a 10. So let's see if it prints. So you can see now it generates an error that says reference error, local variable is not defined at f2, because a local variable here 5 can only be used within this f1 scope, can only be used within the function, right? So you cannot reference it in another function, it can only be used at f1. So to make it global, you only need to delete it from here, right? And then put it above all the two functions, right? So now this makes it a global. global variable, right? Yeah, so now we can so the first one references answer is equals to num times local variable, and also the other one. So now if we run this, we should get the first one for 25 and the second one should be 50, because now it is a global. So we run it and you see the first one prints 25 and the second one prints 50. So then now the last part, we are going to look at the self-invoked function. So maybe we want a function that will not be called, but it calls itself. So we are going to first of all define the first function and also the second function. So maybe we want to have a function that prints the program has started, right? So we start with two closing brackets, we close the last one, then we move to the first one and we say function, then print prog started, right? And then we are going to have the text, and then we are going to say console.log then a backticks, then we can say the program, now we can say this is a program, then we can use $sign to reference the variable, the parameter, the program has started, right? So that is the first one. So let's call it let me have it something like HTML. Let's just remove this one, because this is just a self-closing. So we can just see the replit code has started. So now this one should print itself. We don't need to come here and say console.log, then we call the function. It should automatically print the replit code has started. So you can see the replit code has started, has been printed in the console because of this one. So this is what makes it to be a self-invoking. So the last one, now this one does not have the function keyword, so we only need to have like two of them. Then we go to the first one, and the two now, the second or the inner two closing brackets now represent the function. So we can use an arrow function and say, now we can be able to say now console.log is a self-invoking function without function keyword. Yeah, so now this should print this is a self-invoking function without a function keyword. So this was the first invoking function and this is the second one. So now I can run it and I should see this is the first one, the replit code has started, and the second one, this is a self-invoking function without function keyword. So this has been our today's lesson on functions. We meet in the next tutorial. Thank you for watching.